With the release of the DC-3, everyone is now asking, what could LEGO's next airplane be? So I asked you all to share your opinions and I will share my opinions as well. First, we gotta start with the obvious and unfortunately, very disappointing.
LEGO needs to maintain a family-friendly policy, so they cannot produce military sets. This is why, if you pay attention, LEGO has never released like a tank or a gun or whatever.
Which unfortunately means we won't be getting any military aircraft.
So planes like the SR-71, the B-52, the C-5 Galaxy, the U-2, the B-29, the B-17, the C-17 Globemaster, the A-400M, the B-2 Bomber, the Avro Vulcan, the F-111C, and many more military aircraft will never become LEGO sets.
Which is such a shame because I'm sure that a LEGO SR-71 would have sold very well among both aviators and non-aviators, but at least the saving grace in all this is that many talented mock builders have created mocks of these airplanes, so be sure to check them out. Now let's talk about the planes company by company, starting off with Lockheed Martin.
There are only two planes from Lockheed that LEGO could make. The Lockheed Super Constellation in the TWA livery could look absolutely incredible, especially next to the Pan Am DC-3 and another airplane I'll talk about later. And there are already some amazing mocks of them. The L-1011 was a surprisingly popular aircraft by the community, and while it's nice and there are some really cool mocks, I feel LEGO is more likely to make a DC-10. I just can't really see this becoming a set. Moving on to Douglas, the DC-1, 2, and 3 are just successors and predecessors of each other, so since they already have the DC-3, they are not gonna make the rest. The DC-4, 6, and 7 are also just successors and predecessors of each other, so LEGO will probably make only one of them. And looking at it, it's most likely they're gonna make either a DC-6 or a DC-7. The DC-6 because, like its older sister, the DC-4, and its older cousin, the DC-3, all three legends are still flying in 2026. And the DC-7 was the last mainstream piston engine aircraft. And picture this, the Pan Am DC-3, the TWA Super Constellation, and a United DC-7. Now, how's that for a vintage aircraft collection? Though, if LEGO does this, they probably have to buy the United Airlines licensing too, so I don't know how likely they're gonna do that. The DC-5, doesn't exist. The DC-8 is a cool plane, but I don't think it'll become a set, or at least not until the 707 becomes a set. The DC-9/MD-80/MD-90/Boeing 717 is an interesting one. I'm gonna create this club called It's So Boring It Could Be Good, and the DC-9 will be the first plane added to it, where, as cool as the plane is, it's kinda boring compared to the rest, but because of that, you don't expect it to become a set. And some of the other airplanes that are so iconic, you already expect them to become sets, so they become boring. So if LEGO makes the DC-9 into a set, now you're surprised and amazed. Yeah, the DC-9 isn't the most exciting plane, but this was a very popular suggestion, so I'm hopeful for it. The DC-10 is a very controversial airplane. You either love it or hate it, and I think for that reason alone, it'll stop LEGO from making a set out of it. But you never know, I'd love to get one. The MD-11 is a cool plane, but I feel LEGO is more likely to make a DC-10 because it's more iconic than the MD-11. Moving on to Boeing, starting with their piston engine aircraft. The Stratoliner is cool, but I can't see it becoming a set. The Clipper is a very interesting airplane, but again, I can't really see it becoming a set. The Stratocruiser was a revolutionary plane, and combine this with the Pan Am livery, it could make an amazing display piece, so maybe and hopefully we'll see one. Moving on to the jet age, the Boeing 707 is a legend, but it feels wrong to release this thing in any other livery that isn't the Pan Am livery. And since they already gave that livery to the DC-3, I don't know how likely they are to release a Pan Am 707. But a really good second option would be the Boeing 367-80 and include a minifigure that represents Tex Johnson. Now this would hit home for any aviation guy. The Boeing 727 and 737, I put them in the same club as the DC-9 because these things aren't the most exciting, but you never know, and the 727 was also a very popular suggestion. We already have a 747, and I'm sure it's only a matter of time before LEGO releases a 747 dedicated set. I already talked about my proposal of a City of Everett 747, though I would prefer Pan Am.
Again, LEGO, this is why I said Pan Am livery on the DC-3, it's wasted potential in a way.
The 757, 767, and 777, I also placed these with the DC-9. They aren't the most exciting thing, but still cool airplanes, and the 777 is one of the most popular planes in the skies anyways, so there's a good chance it'll become a set. As for the 787, well, in 2006, LEGO did actually release a 787. Oh my gosh, what the heck is that? It's so... it's ugly. Yeah, sorry about that. We've come a long way now, haven't we? Will they re-release a new 787 after 20 years? Maybe. They did the same for the UCS Star Destroyer. Now moving on to Airbus, starting off with the A300. I almost want to put it with the DC-9, but at the same time, this was the plane that started the whole Airbus company, and I could see this becoming a really cool set. The A310, however, is nowhere near as iconic as the A300, so probably no to this. The A320 family and the A330, I also placed these with the DC-9. Interesting airplanes, but not the most exciting. The A340 is unique because it has 4 engines and it makes it look that much better. I'd love if this could become a set, especially the Dash 600, and I think the potential that this plane has of becoming a set is on the same level as the 777. The A350, well, seeing how LEGO made a 787 in 2006, I don't see any reason why they shouldn't follow up with an actually good A350. The A380 is another legend, and I love if this could become a set, but I feel this might be a case of it sounds good on paper but not in practice. The reason being, in order to keep a set affordable, LEGO cannot add too many pieces unless you guys want to spend like $400 to buy an A380.
Wait, hear me out. $380 for an A380. No, please don't do that.
So chances are we'll have a budget of 2,500 pieces, and looking at the SCA, the pieces from the shuttle would go into the plane to make it longer and add a second deck.
But the question is, will it be refined, look good, and look accurate at this scale with just 2,500 pieces?
Lastly, for Airbus is the Beluga. This is definitely a really cool airplane that I could see becoming a set. And bonus if we can open it up. Now moving on to some not so wild cards. I place every single Embraer and Bombardier plane with the DC-9. It would be insane if LEGO makes a C series or an ERJ or something.
Yes, C series, not A220.
Same thing with the Q400s and the ATR aircraft. Here's a suggestion that I think is really cool. The Wright Flyer. And seeing how they made Leonardo da Vinci's flying machine, I'm sure it's only a matter of time before LEGO makes this. Now on to some British legends. The BAC-111, I placed this with the DC-9. The Trident was revolutionary when it came out, and from an aviation guy, I prefer this over the 727, but I think LEGO is more likely to make a 727. The VC-10 is one of my favorite planes, so I am biased towards it, but a VC-10 in the BOAC or British Airways livery could look absolutely amazing, and I buy it in a heartbeat. The de Havilland Comet, as an aviation guy, this is more deserving of becoming a LEGO set than a 707 and the 367-AT. The problem is, it's not a very popular plane, so I'm not convinced LEGO will do it. The BAE-146 or Avro RJ is a cool plane. I feel it should become a set, but not to the same quality and refinement as the other LEGO Icon sets. The Vickers Viscount, I don't know much about it, and there are also a lot of other British piston engine aircraft that I'm not familiar with, so I can't really give my opinions on them. The same thing with the Soot Aviation Caravelle as of now. The Convair 880 and 990s, these would make fantastic models, but again, like the DC-8, LEGO is more likely to make a 707 first. But imagine this, a collection of a Boeing 707, DC-8, 880 and 990. Now that would be an awesome vintage aircraft collection. The Fokker F-28, F-70 and F-100 are great planes, but again, I placed them with the DC-9. The F-27, F-50 and F-60 again are cool planes, but like the ATRs and Q400s, I placed these again with the DC-9.
Now moving on to some Soviet, Russian and Ukrainian planes, although this could be difficult because of licensing issues, but assuming that LEGO can somehow do it, then here's my opinion.
The AN-124 will never become a set, simply because of the AN-225, but like the A380, this might be too big of a plane to make. The IL-76 and IL-78 are cool, but it's still used as a military plane, so maybe or maybe not. The IL-86 and 96, I placed these planes into the same category as the A340, but at the same time, I don't think they'll become sets. The IL-62, if they make this before the VC-10, I will jump off a building. It's a cool plane, but let's be real, the VC-10 is superior to this in every single way. And the same thing with planes like the Tu-154, the Tu-104, the Tu-124, the Tu-134, the Tu-204, the Tu-214, the Tu-234, AN-12, AN-40, AN-26, Yak-40, Yak-42, and so on. There are just better planes to make. The Tu-144, no.
I also saw a lot of comments about general aviation, but unfortunately, my knowledge on general aviation is nowhere near as good as commercial aviation or even military. So I'm not gonna share too much of my own opinions, but this is what you guys have told me.
The Cessna 172 is a cool concept, but I don't think it deserves to be on the same quality as the other airplanes in this category. And here's a couple more. Again, I don't know what to say to these, apart from some of these are cool ideas.
I couldn't include every single airplane, and now I realize I missed out on planes like the Strato Launcher, the Spruce Goose, and the Super Guppy. I also know I missed out on some brands such as Saab and Mitsubishi, but at this point, my aviation knowledge on those planes in particular are absolutely zero, so I dare not talk about things I don't know what I'm talking about. So that's all for my opinions, and in terms of which airplane I think LEGO will make next, I think the strongest possibility is the Boeing 367-80. Will I be correct? Will I be wrong? Well, let's wait for 2027 to find out.